You know, interestingly enough, my brother's wife's dad died within 3 hours of our dad.
Wow.
So he was really watching a family that was a family grieve firsthand, and us over here, like not having any words for what we're feeling. Right. But it was interesting for him to say, you know, as people are coming up to me and saying, I'm so sorry, and blah, 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 and thinking, you know, my dad was a narcissist and my mom was a sociopath. Right. But we do have to understand those are just labels too. Those are just labels. Right. And in our victimhood, we're just as much of a narcissist as someone who's full blown. Right. And that's a hard pill to swallow. We sometimes cause more harm. Because you can look at this person over here and go, like, and that's always been a piece too, right? Like, I could always look at my dad and go, he was nuts. Literally, we had a piece of paper that said so, right? But then, like, all these people over here are all college educated, millionaires, like, that's harder to navigate than this, right? It was for me.
How'd you get to that place where you didn't need the details? You said your brother wanted details and you had come to a place where you didn't.
I had a few very clear pictures, and I had a lot of flashes. And I reached a point a long time ago that I did not need the details. Like, it was like my psyche, like, it was just so much like that. You know, I definitely had enough to know that it happened, and it happened way more than once. And, you know, because I had snaps, like, I don't think I ever took a shower that he didn't, like, come stand in the bathroom and trap me in the shower, right? Right. I wasn't allowed to shut my door. I wasn't allowed to date. Right. I had a, you know, my grandma raised 52 foster kids, and one of the guys and he was with her for a really long time. And as we grew up, he would come to the house, and, you know, he reached out to me recently and he was like, I always suspected that. Right. It's like he never would leave me alone with you. Right. So we'd go down to the bar and he'd follow us, like, looking through the windows. And right. But through the years, like, he drove all the way to Columbia at one point and said, I do recognize that you kept me out of prison. Right. So there were levels with him too of recognition through those periods. And as a human soul, he grew a lot.
I know I wanted to know, like, details of why my dad didn't want me and just details around that. And I never feel like I got my mom's story and I got his story, but there was holes. But at some point I came to a place of it didn't pick at me anymore. And I was just sitting here trying to think of what brought me to that place when I was able to forgive both of them and just didn't feel the need to know the things that I still don't know.
And there's also a place of just being able to be in your life and not blaming anyone.
It's the blame thing, yeah. It was like
That comes with the forgiveness, right? Because anytime you have blame or judgments or, you know, pointing fingers at why you are who you are today, right? That's the forgiveness is not there.
I think that's what I recognized. It was like, okay, so there's pieces I don't know, but what's happening today? My mom and dad are showing up the best they can in my life today.
Yeah. And
There's pieces I don't know, but is holding on to not knowing that, what is it doing? Like, what is it, even if I did know, would that make it any better right now? It's like, I just was like, I'm done being tormented.
yeah, because his whys were his emotional whys. And, you know,
They
it's
both
like
had their
what,
story. Maybe I did get all the pieces, you know, because it was like they both had different versions of what happened because they're two different people.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, and in our world of forgiveness and niceness and societal respect for parents, we don't hold people accountable,
Mm.
right?
That's what made it take it. That's what made it take longer for me to forgive him. Is he expected everything for me to call him dad and everything to just be hunky dory,
Yeah, he didn't
and like that
deserve
he
that.
could show up as dad all of a sudden, and I was supposed to just flow with that. And
That was a piece I really respected my dad for, because he did not do that.
Mm.
My mom does.
Mm-hmm. It really is taking responsibility today for, I mean, I know that things can pick at us and stuff, but like, what am I choosing today that's perpetuating this? I mean, maybe nothing, maybe you're not, but sometimes we are.
Well, and I think if we can turn because we go from this space of blame out, right? And if we can really start focusing on ourselves with a capital S, and be like, all right, you know, these choices cause or have caused me to react, right? That's why they're there, right? How can you get into a place of action versus reaction? Everything you're bumping up in your life, that's what it's about, right? How can I get into a place of action versus reaction? If you're in reaction, you're in old emotion.
Right.
Mm.
Right? You're stepping into old patterns, right? If a story is building very quickly, you're building a history story that has nothing to do with the moment, right? I watched myself do it, right? Because instantly, right? My brother tells me this, I was instantly validated on a weird level. Like I felt like the playing field went like this. And then by the time I got to the car, my brain started picking and building stories. Right? Old stories around my brother, not my dad, my brother. Right? And by the next morning, I got in my car and I left and I came back to New Mexico because I was done. Right? Now, did my story have anything to do with truth and where he was actually coming from? It left no room for that. Right? Thank goodness my brother, my youngest daughter stepped in and called him and goes, Mom, you need to be quiet and just listen.
Mm.
Right? Because I don't think you're done. Right? And I was grateful, right? Because I did. I just shut up and listened. And I said, you know, I said, firstly, my brain went to validation. Secondly, my brain went to, how long have you had this piece of information and why did you keep it from me? Boom. Like by the time I got to the car. And from there, I had all these reasons why. Right? So we have to be careful of that. We have to be so careful for that, because I could have shut that door that I've been waiting to see open. Boom, done. I left. True forgiveness is about you. And it's about you being able to step out of the story you have yourself and the person trapped in. because it's your story, right? So that, you know, and the story's different than truth, right? And again, that was a long journey with this man. And I almost died the first time when I was like 6 months old at his hands. It was a very long journey. But to be able to get to the end of it and take a bow to each other and go, game well played. Right? It's kind of like, yeah, we both came a really long way with this push that we came through. And that's different than labeling him a bad person. Right? I mean, my brothers and I both sat together going, how many times did we pray for him to be gone? Another piece that's an interesting, this is what I see, right, is they both like ended up being with other people and having relationships and extended families. Like, so we all three watched our parents go have other families and be better people with other families. Which is interesting too. Right?
Did your father have kids with his second wife?
She had kids and they
she
had grandkids. They were together for 28 years. So, you know, and they loved him. They loved him. Right? The grandkids loved him. They had so many stories to tell. Right?
Nice.
And we're sitting here going, that's, you know, and I think we all came to the place where we're just like, well, Carol, you got the best of him. I guess what I'm coming to the table with is I know we've all got these people in our lives. And the faster you can remove the labels and the stories and just let truth be truth, the faster you just get to start living in freedom. And that freedom means there's no torment from any level of existence, right? Because if you're being tormented, you're vibrating with whatever you're being tormented with, right? So, in really, truth, forgiveness, justice being a focus for each one of you as you walk up and are bumping it up against a struggle. And it doesn't matter what it is. Right? It doesn't matter because we live on 5 levels of existence. And if you're being troubled on one, it's affecting all 5. Right? And, you know, if we have a human being wrapped up in a story, you're perpetuating the connection. Right?
Can you say that one more time?
If you have a big story wrapped up around someone, right? And there's blame and there's shame and there's labels and there's, you know, feeling like something's happening to you, you need to look inside because it's not about them, right? It's about what you need to do to grow up. And that's really what it is. We're growing up into fully realized human beings.
Yeah.
And you have to look at what you need to do to grow up. right?
I know that's right.
Because nobody's doing anything to you that you aren't allowing. That you're
Yeah, because
not,
even if they're doing the things that you see or say they're doing, even if they are, it's like you're choosing. So
you're
what do you-
choosing. Right?